Hey there, everybody. Matt Carter here.
And Jessica Carter from CarterMatt.com.
This video is our reaction to The Expanse Season 2, Episode 10, entitled Cascade, which, a little inside baseball here. I have a hard time sometimes remembering the titles for these episodes. I have to, stop our recordings and then go and look them up. I remember this one because it's isn't it like the dishwasher stuff you put in the dishwasher? It's called
Yes, it is.
There we go. Not sponsored, but hey, there's a connection here. I can at least remember it. But there's a lot of interesting stuff to talk about here. We've got Bobby Draper's journey. We have everything on Ganymede. What's going on? That we have Alex doing ship karaoke.
Yeah, he was.
We got all sorts of good stuff here, but before we dive into anything, if you like this video, be sure to give us a like, subscribe to Protoman on YouTube, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any other updates. I'm going to deliver you a hot take here at the start.
Okay, let's hear it. Hot take. Oh, dear.
This may be my favorite episode of the season.
That is an excellent hot take. Okay, let's hear it.
I did not see this coming either.
Well, what makes it? It was Alex and that trick shot, right?
Yeah, no. Okay. Don't.
Right?
Don't get me wrong.
That was great. That was just fun. I know he's hiding out and waiting for everybody, but it was nice to just see what he's doing while he's waiting.
I was very impressed by this. I mean, if Alex had a YouTube channel, he would have gotten millions of views on that. But with that being said, I think it was just, I love science fiction, and I love effects, and I love, the mythology and all that, but really, I mean, maybe this is just, the writer part of me, or maybe it's just, my own inclinations. I just really like character stuff, and I feel like this episode had a lot of really good character stuff. I can now say that I am in on Bobby Draper as a character after being on the fence for the past couple of weeks, and, episodes, and just being kind of out on her for a little while. So I liked all that stuff. I thought that was super compelling. I liked the stuff that's going on with Holden and Naomi. I just enjoyed everything, and I feel like it was complicated without being too complicated, and I didn't feel like they tried to do too much in this episode.
Yeah, there was a lot of really good character development in this episode. I am not all in on Bobby yet, but they are doing a really good job of pulling me in a little bit at a time with her. This was, again, another step for me moving towards having a bit more of an understanding, or at least enjoying watching her struggle with what she's been brought up to believe and what she's seeing with her own eyes now.
And to me, I think another thing that I just really liked about this, I mean, we'll set it up first, that Bobby has basically been told that she is not allowed to go outside and explore Earth, and she just wants to see the ocean.
Yeah, and it was kind of interesting why or at least why to me it seems like they didn't want her to go and see it. That it was almost trying to keep her in that bubble of, you're a Martian, this is what you see, this is what you feel, this is what you're going to do, and this is how it's going to be. And by broadening her mind, going out, seeing this, talking to Earthers, she's been trained to hate Earth and want they're the enemy. And she's gone out. She's met some people. She met that drug dealer that was out there that helped her. Things are, her mind is just opening up to these things. So I understand why they were like, nope. But it probably would have suited them better to just say yes.
I think so. I mean, if I'm gonna compare it to something else, it feels almost like an Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, where they have that character in that little bunker for a long period of time, and then all of a sudden you come out of this, and everything is different, and you sort of realize, what these people who had kept me, I don't necessarily want to say prisoner in this situation, but these people who have sort of been formative to my brain, everything that they have told me, not all of it is entirely accurate or as it was depicted, and maybe I'm going to think differently, and now I'm not going to want to do what they say, but
I just feel if they had taken her there under their control, that they may have been able to still shifted the situation in their favor. I mean, she asked, what does the ocean look like? She's expecting it to be this picturesque thing in her mind, a beautiful blue oceans. And he told her the truth. This ocean is polluted and it's dirty and it's a problem. And then she got there and it was.
Yeah.
That whole scene with Christian when she was like, oh, you guys take this for granted. Yeah, we do. And when they first showed sort of the ocean lapping up and how dirty it was, I thought, man, if they had just taken her there and they said, this is what it's like, and then they got there and she's like, oh, yeah, it is what it's like. It's still beautiful and vast and, the Earthers really took this for granted. Look at what they did to this. It could have been turned in the Martians' favor to keep her under a bit more control.
I think really what I like the most about this is that, we've seen a lot of the UN. We've seen a lot of Christian. We've seen a lot of these sort of political offices on Earth.
Yeah.
But how much have we actually gotten to see sort of this Earth? Like what the common people of Earth are experiencing and thinking? I feel like we were sort of Bobby Draper ourselves being introduced to a lot of this sort of stuff. And here we're kind of watching it from this person's eyes who is a total stranger and she doesn't know what she's doing. And it's such a fun contrast to that person we got at the start of this season.
Absolutely. It was that fish out of water definitely helped me warm up a little bit.
Yeah, and I mean, I think all of this is ultimately going to depend on how she factors in the story in the long term, if she can become kind of this interesting a person, or if she gets into conflict, is she just going to revert back to the same person who isn't as interesting.
I feel like she can't at this point, and it's not because she saw the ocean.
Yeah.
It feels like that interaction that she had with that Earther who helped her. Yeah, he asked for her drugs, but told her, who knows, maybe true, maybe not. We don't know this character. We'd like to think that it's true, considering that he did end up doing exactly what he said he would. Oh, yeah, I'll help you. It's through here, through this tunnel, and then you get there.
Yeah.
And also that whole scene with the look down and look up to the horizon. Like, there was more to him that I think she didn't expect, because these are the people she has been taught to hate. And here's this guy who's going to take her drugs and use them to bring in other medications that people need. Plus, he helped her, and he didn't even know her. So for me, that interaction is the thing that I feel is going to really form her opinion more, even more than seeing the ocean.
It was a fascinating little journey, and I don't know if anything more will kind of come of this, but I think just like as a one-episode exploration through this character's eyes, I really, really enjoyed it. I was like fully immersed the entire time. And then on top of that, you've got, your old pal Christian here get some information from Aaron Wright, who all of a sudden Aaron Wright decides that now it's time to have his confessional rounds.
Well, I think she was right when she said, Eros is hurling to Earth and he's going to die and it's his fault. He's part of this. He had his hands very dirty in this. So I think he realized just how bad it was now that he needs to clear his conscience. Now, whether it's because he wants to help or because he feels he needs to just clear his conscience, he can't have that weight on him anymore, still kind of remains to be seen. But it was good that he came clean.
Yeah, this is my feeling on it. Like, I think it is a part of it that he doesn't want to have this on his conscience anymore. I think he is sort of that prototypical political figure who is so convinced that what he's doing is right because someone has come in and pitched him a 2-page outline on this is why this is good, but he didn't bother to read the 40-page book that came after the 2-page outline that was sort of oh, here are all the side effects, here are all the things that could go wrong
and will probably go wrong.
Yeah, and so Aaron Wright, you played yourself in a lot of ways by going all in on this, and now you're probably going to have to pay for it. I don't know if he's going to. Maybe
I would assume that Christian's not going to sit on this information for very long, because then that does also implicate her eventually. If they were like, oh man, how long have you known? Oh, I've known a month. You've known a month? Okay, well then now you're part of it. As opposed to, oh, how long have you known? I just found out. all right then, you're all right.
Yeah, I think she's gonna move quickly with it. Plus, we need her to move quickly with it because otherwise we're not really gonna get anywhere as fast with the show itself. But ultimately, thanks in part to Aaron Wright and everything else that she's done, as we go back to Bobby here, we get sort of a composite, if you will, of this. I don't know what we want to call this. The proto-molecule creation, a creature,
Protoman!
Is Protoman in Mega Man? Because I feel like Protoman is in Mega Man, but we're going to call him that anyway. Protoman shows up at the end of this episode and looks pretty fearsome, I gotta say.
Yeah, and even though Bobby still was not having it, and I'm not going to really help you, she still helped anyways, because Christian could see the look on her face when she said, here it is. This is the dude that you saw. And Bobby didn't need to say anything, even though she was like, I'm not helping you get out of here, like, on with you. Christian's now leaving with the information that she needed, which is, yes, this is what Bobby saw.
Yeah, and I think it's probably got to be hard in Bobby's position, too, to be like, my own people aren't really wanting to believe in anything I'm saying. You're like, I believe in you, and you're also showing you basically your version of a drawing of the very thing in which you saw.
Yep.
That's pretty compelling. That it might at least make you think that you're on the wrong side, even if you're not on the wrong side.
I think the thing, and I could be wrong, but that's going to push her in one direction or another, is how the Martians deal with what she's done. Yep. So she has escaped, she has gone to the ocean, she has talked to Earthers, she has now also talked to Christian.
Yeah.
They may not know all of those things, but they do know she escaped, she went to the ocean, and they told her not to. So she's disobeyed a direct order from them to stay in the room. So how are they going to deal with this? They already know she's kind of on edge. Is this going to turn into a situation where now she's a prisoner? Are they going to have to execute her? Are they going to have to find a way to keep her quiet? Is it going to be a accident that happens to her? Like, I don't know how they can really handle this situation to keep her quiet.
It's not gonna go great. That's at least my feeling on it right now, where she might be in a position where if they try to lock her away, or if they try to interrogate her or punish her, maybe she ends up trying to find a way to flee. And then maybe she ends up fleeing and joining up with another group of, ragtag misfits that includes Holden and Naomi.
I see. This is where you think it's going.
Well, everybody's got to connect at some point, right? I mean, Miller connected with them, and
it's true. And they have Alex, who was part of the Martian regime, so he knows what's going on.
Yeah, right now he's busy. He's singing,
meaning like a connection with another Martian who has been part of their military.
I just can't get over Alex singing karaoke in the spaceship. And
I just felt like that was such a good scene. Like, you're right, this is a really good episode just for fun character moments, character development. I mean, we haven't even talked about what's going on with Holden and Naomi.
No, we're about to, and that is pretty intense. And this was just like, it was just sort of a nice little dessert. It was, we went through everything else. We've had our meal. This is something we eat and be like, this is good and sweet, and it's just like superficially fun. And it ended very badly with Alex realizing that he is totally screwed.
Yes.
Well, that is kind of the nature of the Expanse. They wouldn't just put in Alex singing karaoke and then just be like, okay, that's it, goodbye.
That's right. They have good moments, they have bad moments, and it all equals out as average. Average luck.
Yeah. All right, well, let's get to Holden and Naomi. I mean, and also, I guess, Prax, because they're on Ganymede, and they're doing whatever they can to sort of get to the bottom of everything, but with that, it also means a search for, May, who Prax is desperately sort of looking for.
And now it seems that she is alive.
Yeah, she's alive. Doesn't seem like she's going anywhere great, but she's alive.
No, there's clearly something going on there.
Yeah, and I mean, is Strickland connected to it? Is he responsible for it? I think those are a couple of the things that at least we're wondering about.
His hands are somewhat dirty.
Yeah, there's some questionable behavior patterns going on here with Strickland.
The pediatrician. There's obviously something else that's going on that's not great.
Yeah, and I think this episode also picks up well on what we talked about this past episode, where, we're seeing these characters sort of resort to more violent solutions to problems, and, it doesn't mean that they are bad people. They're just people who have gone through a lot and are probably a little bit more reactive than they were previously. We've seen that with Holden.
Well, some of them are. Holden is, but it's interesting then to see that other side with Naomi, where she was basically like, the more you do this, the easier it gets. You just, let this guy get beat up and have his head smashed in, and that's not something you would have done, a few weeks ago, a few months ago, however long it's been.
Yeah.
That I said it before, I'll say it again, I'm really wondering how Holden's changes and trying to adapt and trying to learn how to be the leader of this crew. Like you said, doesn't come with a handbook. So he's going to make stumbles and he's going to make mistakes and he's going to get some things right. And even in situations like what happened in the last episode, some of it could have been handled differently and maybe it would have gone a different way. I still stand by that. And Naomi even said it at the beginning of this episode. Oh man, we totally got that guy killed. We're responsible for that. And I know that Holden doesn't agree, but I kind of have to lean in Naomi's direction that this is how Holden felt that they should lead with this. Could they have gone another way? Sure, there are other ways that they could have gone about it. They could have spoke to the people on the ship. They instead went to go in there pretending to be something else, put these people on edge. I think Naomi just feels like this is kind of getting away from them in some ways.
I think that she is, and I mean, I think
And I have to agree in some ways. I don't think she's completely right, but she's not completely wrong. I think it's kind of in the middle, where Holden feels, no, we made the right decision. Oh, no, over here, we got that guy killed. It kind of feels like it falls in the middle.
Everything, I think, within this world has a certain degree of nuance to it, and I think that, maybe they go another way, and maybe that other way ends up ending really badly, but we don't know because we didn't end up seeing what that other way is.
Absolutely.
And
sort of an altered timeline thing. What could have happened if those two were never hijacked by Holden's crew, if they had then been boarded by those thugs who were like, oh, we're going to take all of everything that you got. If they weren't so frazzled and anxious and stressed by what Holden's crew did, maybe they would have made another decision, and instead of being like, no, you can't take our stuff, that they would have been like, you know what, we don't need to die over this, so do what you have to do to us.
Everything is circumstantial, but I think the point that the Expanse is trying to make is largely one of, okay, we need to just consider our decisions, and I don't think Naomi is necessarily saying, okay, in the future we need to not kill people because if killing people is the right course of action, then it needs to be done.
Right.
I think she's just trying to stop this sort of slippery slope from getting slipperier.
I absolutely agree, because now we've seen Holden leaning a little more into violence than he ever would have. We started this series with him saying, I've never killed anybody. Now he's happy to let this guy get beat in the head with a can of chicken and be like, oh man, I would have stopped it before it went too far. Man, it kind of did go too far. It is a little bit of a slippery slope. Yeah, you got him to do what you want, but maybe you could have had 2 less hits to the head with that can of chicken.
Yeah, I mean,
and he still would have done it.
Amos is not changing. Amos is Amos, and I think the difference is how quickly do you pull off Amos from what he's doing in that sense. I mean, I think Amos can change, but I think in terms of his violent tendencies, this is still the same Amos that we saw in Season 1 in terms of how reactive to him, but I don't think Holden can't get numb to what Amos is doing.
No, and I don't think he is numb to what Amos is doing. I just think I still feel like he's just learning. He's trying to figure out how can I get things done, because this is such a huge problem that's happening. This is something that's so much bigger than the Rossi crew or anybody in this whole universe, that Holden almost feels like he's in a spot where whatever needs to be done just has to get done, without really thinking about, okay, is there another way that we could have done this?
Well, and I think he'll get there. I think that's the point of this story, is I think it's going to be a sort of look at, here's what's happening because of your decisions, but as the season goes along, he'll start to hear out Naomi a little bit more, and then ultimately he'll sort of find some equilibrium, and I think going into season 3, we'll probably see a more measured version of Holden than what we have seen previously, and I'm interested to see what that looks like, but of course, we're also interested to see what episode 11 looks like, and we are going to be checking that out and discussing it very, very soon on the channel, so I hope you guys come back for that, and also let us know in the comments what you thought about Season 2, Episode 10 of The Expanse when you first saw it. And if you enjoyed this video, give us a like, subscribe, and you can support us further by checking that link in the description to the Carter Matt store. And we'll see you here next time